Have you ever wondered what career path you could start earning a certification or a degree on in high school? Well, today we're going to talk to someone who has that answer for you on Coffee with Chuck. Today, I am joined by Washburn Tech Assistant Dean of Student Services, Dr. Steve Bryant. And I'm really excited to visit with him about his career path, but also about some of the amazing opportunities we have available to our students starting in high school at Washburn Tech. So let's just go ahead and say hello, Dr. Bryant. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good morning. Thank you for having me today. I've been here at Washburn Tech since the start of 2022. So I'm quite fresh, but it's not my first experience working in higher education. I've been doing that the last 15 years. This is my third institution. So I was in Missouri for 10 years, Michigan for 5 years, which is where I was born and raised, and then came down here in January. And I've really enjoyed the experience so far.
Excellent. So tell us, when did you start to get interested in education, about being in a post-secondary institution? How did that all evolve? Did you always think you wanted to do this? Or when you were maybe a junior in high school, what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, well, I went to college to be a high school or middle school math teacher.
Okay.
And I took intro to teaching and realized that was not the path for me, but I loved education. So I was that student that loved everything about the post-secondary experience except for class. And so in that kind of growth and learning who I was and seeking out the resources and the connections, I found out that I loved the post-secondary college environment, and that's how I got into working in education. So really, how can I help students be successful and find that career path? And it might be different than what it is, what they think that they want to be when they first go into it.
Okay. And so you said you love that post-secondary atmosphere, the environment.
Yeah.
That's when you got on campus. Is that right? Or is that when you realized? Because a lot of our students, one of the things we try to do with JAG-K is get our students to a campus, because oftentimes they have no idea what that looks like. And so what would you suggest to our students if they've never been on a campus and they for some reason can't do it through JAG-K? And again, we try to do that, but what's some advice you would give to students who maybe don't know what that post-secondary, and maybe they don't think that college is for them, or even an institution like a community college, vocational training? Is there any advice you would give to them about career exploration and post-secondary opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. The first piece I would say is notice the story that we're telling ourselves. So if we're putting in front of ourselves and saying, I don't think this is for me, I don't think I should be going to a technical college or a community college or a four-year university, whatever story you're telling yourself, pause for a moment and say, why am I telling myself this story? Because a lot of times we are our own barriers to our success, because we're pulling in these messages from society, from folks around us, of who they're telling us that we should be and what we should be doing, when really we should be the ones that are figuring that out for ourselves. So if you can't physically get to a campus, go to your library. If you have access to internet at home, use that and just do some research. Find a phone number of people at all sorts of different types of institutions and give them a call and just learn about what opportunities do they offer. Because even in my experience, what I ended up becoming passionate about and knowing what I wanted to do isn't something I knew existed as a career path in high school. And so as many times as we can pull in, this may be an option, and don't tell ourselves no until we fully explore that. That would be the biggest advice I have. So sometimes it's that voice in our head that's like, this isn't for me, or so-and-so said. Ignore that and just dive in and just learn about all those opportunities available to you.
That's great advice. Was there ever a time in your life where you had to do that yourself when you were growing up in Michigan? I mean, did you always love math or I mean, what?
I think it's a constant thing in our lives that we're always telling ourselves. I don't think we reach this point where we're like, I'm good, I've got it all figured out. I think we're constantly challenging ourselves to be like, nope, I have the capacity to do these things. And so the reason I chose math is because it was easy for me until I got to that calculus course. And I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Now, if I would have worked hard and took advantage of the resources offered, I know I could have made that happen now. But I made that choice then, which looking back was a good choice for me, but there are those times where it's not a good choice. We shouldn't just shift our career goals because we run into a barrier. So I was thankful in that moment that I had a really good advisor that I worked with, really good people around me. I was in a on-campus job and just had multiple conversations and got multiple different perspectives so I could make that decision for me on what my path should be moving forward.
Great. So Washburn Tech is actually just down the street from our JAG-K state office, and we've had students attend, and we've actually, a couple of years ago before COVID, we had, I don't know if we formally called it JAG-K Day at Washburn Tech, but we took some students there. So there's been some involvement, but we're really talking about stepping that up a bit. And I'm really excited about that. But can you tell us just a little bit about Washburn Tech, some of the programs, and then I'll follow up with some other questions I have.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that, when I came to interview here at Washburn Tech, I was just floored by multiple things. Number one was the hands-on learning that students are getting from day one. The passionate and driven instructors and our other team members whose main goal is to help students be successful in whatever program that they choose from day one and even before day one. And then just the opportunities that exist both to high school students and then students who've graduated from high school or received their GED or some other program in multiple different ages, right? We have students who are 50s and 60s that will come to campus, as well as students who are in high school. So the opportunities are endless. I mean, there's advanced manufacturing, drafting, design, business, healthcare, technology, hospitality, human services, construction, transportation, and there's several programs within each of those areas. And we're continuously looking at, and what I also enjoy here is working with our partners in the community on what career fields do people need employees now. And so that's why we have such a high job placement rate. And we have employers coming to us saying, I want your student now. And we're like, give us a month, let them finish this program, and then get that certification, and then they can go. So we're constantly hearing from graduates of how their experience here not only prepared them for their field of choice, but also how it's really opened them to multiple different experiences that they haven't even had yet.
How early can a high school student start a program at Washburn Tech?
Yep, they can start in their junior year, but depending upon the program, there are some that the age makes a difference. So we look at our cosmetology program, you have to be 16. In our health occupations program, there's some age stuff there as well too, that's really set by requirements for the boards that govern those certifications. And so those are important. And so we just recommend students to work with one of our admissions counselors who are phenomenal. They'll give a tour, they can talk to you over the phone, you can email back and forth if you have questions. They'll send you information on all of the different programs that you would like, and they'll be able to answer all those specific questions.
Okay. And what is the shortest program up to the longest, if you can answer that? So is
yeah. Yeah, I'm still learning there. I believe our shortest programs would be about a semester,
Okay.
and our longest would take about 2 years of experience. And so as long as a student, fulfills those requirements in those 4 semesters, they'll be able to get that done. There are some that students, depending upon what they need to be doing outside of their experience here, they may take a summer course within that program to get all the hours they need for that certification.
Okay. And there's a unique partnership with Washburn University and some tracks that can start at Washburn Tech and then end at Washburn University. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the really neat things is students, if they do a program here at Tech, because we are part of the university, can continue on. We have a person here on our campus who works with students who want to transition to that experience. And so that opens the door to some reduced prices when it comes to credit hours, the ability to even get some general education requirements done before you move into that Washburn University kind of 4-year experience while you're here. And also it opens up the doors to different scholarships and things that are available there as well too. So we have a handful of students who do that every year, and we're really excited. And I think that's one of those unique things of you're going down this path when it comes to maybe something around technology, and you realize it leads to this other path that you're passionate about. And so we have those built-in avenues to help students with that as they're navigating and figuring out where do they want to go from here.
Can you give us an example or two of some of those paths? I assume maybe healthcare is one of them, but you mentioned technology. Can you maybe give us a couple of examples of careers that might start at Washburn Tech and then end with the 4-year bachelor's degree at Washburn University?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the healthcare, you're spot on there is one where students realize, I want to get these certifications here at Washburn Tech that's part of the university, and then transfer in and get a bachelor's level degree that aligns with that. Other ones that are opportunities for students could even be if you're doing graphics technology and you're like, you know what, I want to move on and get a bachelor's degree related to this art field. Students can do that as well. So it's really, we do it on an individualized basis on here's where I'm at and here's where I think I would like to go, and how do we make that work for the student. And that's the benefit of having that person on campus who will sit down with the student and discuss all those different paths that they have, and here's what you'll need to do this path, or you can choose here, which sometimes opens the student's eyes to, oh, this is what I want to do this over here, but I thought I could only do this, so let's go here instead.
And is there a tool? I know high schools have guidance counselors and they have some career exploration activities, but when maybe one of our students would visit with one of your counselors, what type of tools do they have available for our students to help if they have no idea? Like which is like one of my sons right now, no idea what he wants to do. And, I'll go through a series of questions. And do you like this? Do you like this? What would you like to be doing in 10 years and that kind of thing. And we still haven't quite figured it out yet. So do your counselors or the folks on campus, other than just a list of programs, do they have some tools to help assess what might be a good career students?
Yeah, one of the pieces that they use heavily is each program has a program flyer that students can either get on our website, or if they want to come in and get it from us, or if they call, we'll mail it to them too, because we don't want access to be a barrier to information. So however you need to get it, we'll get it to you. And those program flyers are designed in a way not just to talk about what are the requirements for this program and what you'll be learning, but it also looks at what are the different career opportunities that are available with this program. And so if a person calls and says, you know what, I really enjoy doing, this and this and this, but they don't realize how that falls into maybe like a culinary program, we'll talk about those. So our admissions counselors are really good at one-to-one interacting with students, but then also once a student is admitted and they're in that program, we'll transition students to what we call program navigators or advisors. So a student will have a program navigator for their time that they are here at Washburn Tech, and that navigator is going to work with them to help them if they want to switch their programs, or maybe they spend a year doing one program and they get a certification and they want to get another certification. They'll help get them re-enrolled in that. Then they'll also work with them when it comes to career and transitioning out of tech. So we do a career fair every April. We do resume preparation for students, interview preparation for students. We really help them get connected to what is that position I want once I'm done with my program here.
You mentioned you have a high job placement rate. Do you know that exact number or approximate number?
I believe it's at 94%, and that's looking at like almost immediately right out of school.
Great. Are there some careers right now that are more popular or there's more demand for than others? What are some of the high demand occupations right now?
Yeah, well, two of them that come to mind are ones that we are adding programs that are beginning this fall. One of them is industrial production technicians. And so it's folks who are working in a manufacturing floor, and they're really helping to make sure everything's running logistically the way it is. We have employers that are saying, hire our folks now. Get people enrolled. We need these people. Another one that we're starting this fall is plumbing technology. And so that is another field. But I'd say most of our programs are high demand fields because we're constantly looking at, we don't want to be graduating students who are struggling to find a job. And so if there's a program that we need to look at phasing out, we will do that. All of our healthcare programs are high demand, high need right now. So looking at practical nursing is a huge one as well. But most of them are very high demand right now.
Well, and I think that's interesting and good to hear. I have a bachelor's degree, but I know there are a lot of students with four-year bachelor's degrees where there may not be a job available for that particular degree. And so it sounds like if you're going to Washburn Tech, that the odds of you being in a high demand occupation are very high, or you're probably not going to have that program.
Yep, 100%. Yep, and those are, even on our website there as well, it looks at what kind of the demand, also what's the average salary that a student would receive working in this field. So all of those different components to keep in mind that we don't always get when we're looking at higher ed programs, right? There may be something that's listed as, here's a great program, but you may not get that right in your face right away of here's what the job outlook, here's what the salary is going to look like.
Great. So let's kind of dig into your current job. You said this is your third institution or post-secondary institution. What does the Assistant Dean of Student Services do?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to say it is everything outside of the classroom, most of it falls into student services. So we work with getting students to be aware of Washburn Tech, admitted. We have our program navigators who work with students as they're here. If a student, an instructor notices a student struggling in class, they'll notify our program navigator who will check in with that student. We have our campus advocate student services within our area. So they work with students who need accommodations in the classroom, but they also work with if a student's struggling with something or if they need access to food or resources or anything under the sun that a student may need, that person's going to help make those connections. We also have our financial aid and our scholarships and transitions team. And then we run any sort of student conduct. We hope that we don't ever have to do that, but just in case something comes up that we need to have those conversations, then those will take place. So it's all of that stuff that doesn't involve instruction that's really critical to the students' experience. The other area I forgot there was our student records and registration, which is really important because they're the ones that will mail you your certificate when you're done and make sure that everything behind the scenes is running properly.
And what was your path? I mean, you started on a math path, and then you enjoyed the atmosphere of the post-secondary institution. What got you to be assistant dean? Like, what were the steps along the way?
Yeah, it's very unique. When people hear it, they'll probably be like, how did this happen? But I think it's all about that, finding out what are your passions and what skills do you want to develop. So when I found out early on, doing my bachelor's, that math wasn't for me because I didn't want it to be for me, I ended up getting a degree in public health education, health promotion. And once I graduated, I loved all my public health classes, my internship. I went to a job conference to find a job as a hall director working in housing on a college campus. And so that's why I moved to Missouri, did that for 4 years. My passion has always been creating a more equitable, just, and inclusive society where everyone has the opportunity to belong. So I moved from that role into the next 11 years was really running at 2 different institutions, the senior leader on campus that's doing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work. So really looking at our processes, personnel, our support, how are we supporting minoritized communities within our institutions, and changing how we do what we do to make sure it's more inclusive. And that's another piece that kind of led me to this role. My significant other moved to Kansas, and that what brought to the area, but I was intentionally looking for something where I could still use those skills in the career field that I'm doing. And there's a lot when it comes to technical education or community colleges of making sure that we're supporting students who have, barriers in front of them to be successful.
That's great. We often talk to our students about it's not necessarily the job, it's what is your calling, what is your passion, because there are a lot of jobs in which you could do that or fulfill that. So it sounds like 100%. You have found a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate your time today. Is there anything else about Washburn Tech that we should know before we conclude this week's episode of Coffee with Chuck?
Yeah, let's say give us a chance and check us out, because if your experience is anywhere similar to mine, once you see what is happening, you may fall in love with the experience you could have here that could change your life. So it kind of goes back to that beginning thing of look at all the different opportunities in front of you. And if you're telling yourself, oh, I really should go here and not go here, if we're the not go here, check us out and make that decision based upon your experience, not based upon what someone may or may not have told you.
And real quick, what is the website?
Our website, of course, this is the most difficult question, is washburntech.edu. So washburntech.edu.
Great. Well, Dr. Steve Bryant, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to enhancing our partnership with Washburn Tech, and certainly appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching Coffee with Chuck. Please subscribe below, and you may want to check out the video that's attached.